guys, welcome back to another Monday race day. Today we're going to be going and doing the World Touring Car 700, where the car needs to be 700 pp or less. We're not going to be driving a touring car this time. I've basically done a backyard build on a Ford Focus RS, which I bought from the store. And yeah, let's see how we do. Here's World Touring Car 700, race number 1. It's Trial Mountain. Now, I don't know how this car is going to perform. I have tricked it up as quickly as I can, or as much as I can, to get it up to the race PP level, but I don't know how it's going to perform. Let's find out. I have tuned the gearbox, so hopefully I've done a decent enough job and we can get this car across the line first. We want to get gold in all 3 races, which we weren't able to do the last time we did the race. So here we go, and right off the start we can hear this car sounds like an absolute beast. We're catching up on the Aston Martin quite easily here, and through the turns it is feeling a little bit loose on the turns. Big skid there. Let's just sort out that traction control, get that back down to level 1. I race better with it a little bit lower than that, just keeping my eye on that, but unfortunately not keeping my eye on the track. Bumped the Aston Martin and he gets into a meeting with Uncle Barry while we are able to save it and stay on the track. So we got the position and now we're moving up, trying to catch up on the next car in the on the track. So car is really quick. Look at that speed coming up the hill, 250, 260, 270. I think the car is definitely up to the task of winning here. Well, if we can get to the front of the pack. Obviously the quicker, or the further up towards the front of the pack we get, the quicker the cars get. That's just the nature of how they design the game. But holding the road pretty well there, having to feather the throttle and the brakes to make sure that we keep the car on the track. But what I have been trying to do is brake a lot earlier, so that allows me to get into the turn and power out. It seems to be working a lot better for me, although that one I went way too deep on, and you can see that Lexus coming back through to take their position back. Let's power slide. The car's got a lot of oomph, and just putting the power down in the corners got us into a 4-wheel drift there. So, but there we go. That's the first lap done, and we've got the lap record just on 2 minutes, which isn't bad going. So hopefully we are a lot quicker than the cars up front, and we can start closing the gap on them. But into the tunnel. This tunnel tightens up towards the end, so you got to be careful of where you're braking on it. Backing off with the Mustang, still a little bit too late on the brakes. Mustang comes fast, but the acceleration on this little Ford Focus RS is absolutely immense. So we easily take the Mustang back, and then through the next tunnel straight away onto the left-hander, and now we are chasing the Dodge Viper, and that's another easy overtake, accelerating hard up the hill. And this straight is where we pretty much max out the car, going up to almost 300 kilometers an hour again for our take on the next corner. Through there, and nice tight turn there that time, not as loose as the previous time. Have to go onto the brakes as we hit the top of that hill, doing well to avoid the other cars. Now into the bend, tapping off, making sure we're not hitting anybody, trying to keep the races clean. But this car is pretty unforgiving pretty forgiving, I should say. Although, as you can see, the brakes are not quite where they should be. Anyway, I let the other cars through, but back on the power end, it's just an easy overtake. This car, the way I've got the gears set up is just, I think it was all just by luck. I kind of just set each gear up according to where I thought would be a good point for them, and I have stretched out the gears so we've got a big top end as well. But it seems like with the turbo system that I've installed on it, it seems to work really well. We're always in the power band. There doesn't seem to be any kind of turbo lag or lag when you get on the throttle, which can be quite interesting coming out of the turns if you get a little bit too hard on the accelerator coming out of the turns. Ended up doing a four-wheel drift there a little earlier because of that. But yeah, we're moving on pretty quickly. Oh, there we go. There's the power side I was talking about. Full lock towards the right hand side, but the power's still down and we just couldn't get out of that. But I managed to get the car back on the track, and it's another easy overtake on the Suzuki, and that's another position in the bag. Coming up the hill and then down the other side, hard on the brakes, and then take this one nice and tight. This right left is quite tricky, but I seem to be getting that better and better nailed down every time. The more you race, the more lucky you get, I suppose. More practice, more luck. So I think Gary Player, the golfer, used to say that the more I practice, the luckier I get. So, anyway, here's the right hand, the left right into the start finish straight, and the other guys are pretty far ahead, so we've got some ground to make up, but they don't seem to be as quick on acceleration, even with them being touring cars, which is quite surprising. We're back on the Alpha now, trying to get past into the next position. Brake early here, and then back on the power. Well, we got into the back of it, but we do brake early. He bumps us slightly, but we do retain the position, and now we're fighting with the Mazda for third position. Just tapping off, making sure we're not hitting anybody. Side by side into the tunnel, but after that it's just not even a contest. The little Ford Focus just absolutely mind-blowingly fast on acceleration. Into second. Here we come into the left-hander on the back of the race leader, who is driving the Toyota Supra. Into the right left, hard on the brakes on the crest of the hill, and then we try to keep it nice and neat on the apex and on the power again as we exit the corner. Nice neat turns there on the power. You can see just how quick this car is. Another left, right, and then we're on the final straight. The Supra comes past. We're on the inside. Take the brake. Oh. And just look at how we accelerate away from that Toyota Supra. Can we keep the car on the track now for the rest of the race? We've done pretty well so far. We've got another track record, so I think it's definitely possible. But this car does sound really angry. On the brakes. Could be a little tighter into that turn, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't out of control, which was good. Oh, a little too tight on there. We bang the inside barrier, well, not a barrier, but the inside on the grass, but up the hill, and we up into 260 kilometers an hour again. Let's see if we can get that 300. I think we braked a little bit too early to get it. But way in the lead now. Braking at the crest. And 2 wheels on the inside curb. And the power down. Nice and neat. Car absolutely screaming down this straight. Hard on the brakes, into the left, right, and that'll be onto the a power slide, a 4-wheel drift, or a 4-wheel power slide down to the finish straight, and that Supra is never going to catch us. And a failed handbrake turn. Just to top it all off. Great race by this little car. It is an absolute little rocket. Quite surprised. I didn't think it would be as good as it is against the touring cars. But there we go. There's the result on the top of the log. And yeah, there we are, celebrating first position. So now let's get straight on to the next race. This one might be a little bit more or a bit of a better race for us as well. Not as many tight turns. There are quite a few hairpins, but they are a bit more gradual, so we should be able to keep the power down there. But there are a couple of really long straights where we can really open up the little forward focus. And as we know, as we've seen from the first race, we are definitely have an advantage on the straights with the acceleration that this car's got. So there we go, start of the race, and here we go onto the back of the first car. An easy overtake on the first straight, playing it safe, braking really early for that corner. Here we are on the back of the Corvette. 2 wheels on the grass, but with it being an all-wheel drive car, I don't think that's mattering too much. And here we come, past the Ferrari. Always great overtaking a Ferrari. a little bit wide through that turn. But the car, as I said before, really forgiving. You can get yourself righted quite easily if you get things slightly wrong. If you get them badly wrong, then it's not quite the same. But it's got the Lexus really easily as well. Now we're on the back of the 2 yellow cars, which are the Mustang and the Subaru. Lopez in the, not the Mustang, the BMW M4. That's a Porsche, I apologize. Then the Mustang. I think the other 2 are further ahead. The BMW and the Subaru must be further ahead. Nice and tight on the apex. Really having to feather the throttle and the brakes on this car. It's really eager. Kind of like a squirrel with too many cappuccinos in its belly. But here we are on the top of the Dodge Viper. Another quick overtake on the long straight. You can see on the right hand side there at the top right of the screen how we're coming down the straight past the Lamborghini as well. And now coming into the next bend, took that one a little bit more smartly than we did in lap number 1. Tapping off through the turn, the Aston Martin getting reeled in, and he's a thing of the past now too. He's behind us. Onto the brakes, and now, as you can see, these turns are a lot more gradual than some of the ones we were doing in the previous race on Trial Mountain. This track also, the curbs seem to be a lot more shallow than they are on the Nürburgring. Nürburgring, they seem to be quite steep, and if you've got a car with a harder suspension, like we had with the Honda Civic last time, it kind of just flicks the car up in the air if you get onto the curbs at high speed. Not so much the case on this track, but I think this car is obviously set up a bit differently too, so that definitely will play a part in the handling. It's a nice neat turn, and we've got 2 places in that one. Coming around the corner, the Suzuki challenging back for its previously held position, but the Ford Focus is just absolutely a monster on the straights. Into the left, right, and on the power. Into the gradual turn. We'll have to play with the throttle a little bit there to keep the car on the track. And this is where we reel them in. Another fastest lap for us as we hurtle down the straight. Oh, here they are. Here's Lopez in the M4, and then the yellow Subaru ahead of him. So we should get these 2 pretty easily as well. Biding our time here, not wanting to get over eager in the turns, especially with how this car ends up spinning out, or spinning the wheels at least. A bit too wide there. The Subaru comes back through, but we've got the inside line, and the acceleration just pulls us right past. An easy overtake for the Ford Focus RS. Oh, a little bit too early on the gas while we had the 2 wheels on the curb there, spinning out, but like you can see, the car is definitely quite forgiving. Maybe not as poised and planted in the corners as the touring cars, but you can definitely play with it quite nicely. If you do get it slightly wrong, it's easy to get it rectified and back in. You do need to play with the throttle and the brakes a little bit, but as you get more used to the car, it becomes more and more easy to do that. So some cars are just unruly, just too much power, but this one seems to be right in the niche of what works for me as a driver. The left right into the second last turn. Here we go. You can see us feathering the throttle, playing with the throttle, keeping the car pointed in the right direction. We don't want it on the grass, but now we're trying to hunt down the leader of the race in the Toyota Supra. I really just love listening to this car's engine. It just sounds so good with the exhaust and manifold that we've got on it. But right next to the Supra, playing it safe, not trying to put the boot down through the bend and try to get the lead, but you get it in the second turn, but slightly wide, and the Supra will try to capitalize on that and get the lead back, but unfortunately for him, this car just absolutely outclasses it on acceleration. Lovely little car, this. Very, very impressed with it, considering that it isn't one of the game's set pieces for for performance, high performance races or GT3 races or touring car races. This is just a stock Ford Focus RS that I've just bolted parts onto. So it's a backyard build basically, and the backyard build is showing up all the expensive touring cars. We've got the lead, and there's only one lap to go. So now it's pretty much keeping the car on track and keeping the lead. Let's just listen to this car as it runs through the rest of the lap. It just sounds amazing. little bit too wide into that turn, but we did keep at least one tyre on the track. So we haven't gone off nearly as frequently as we have been before, purely because of the braking style that I'm now trying to adopt, with braking a little bit earlier than usual. That said, I haven't tried that on any of the daily races online. It's probably going to be a complete different kettle of fish against live racing, because man, some of those guys just dive in on you. Some of them brake really late, especially in the league that I'm racing in. I'm only a rated D driver, because I'm quite slow actually. I try to race clean on the online races, because that obviously affects your ranking. But I mean, I've got the highest possible rank for clean driving, just not fast enough to get to level C. But anyway, here we come through the final bend, down the final straight. Yeah, there's no Suped to be found in the rear view mirror. We definitely did a great job of leaving the touring cars behind in that one. So another first place for us. That's 2 golds in a row, 2 golds out of 3. And now we just got to get onto the podium for the third race. There we go, on the top of the grid. There's the proof that we did do it. And we got 24 points, 2 wins of 12 points each, as we go on to race number 3, which is going to be a full single lap of the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring. Now this track, as you'll see on the picture of the track there, there's a funny section at the bottom. That section is new to me. I don't normally do that. No, and that wasn't on the tracks that I used to race on the previous versions of this game. So anyway, let's start the Nordschleife single lap and see how we do on this. This track is quite technical. Like I said before, the curbs are quite steep in comparison to what we have been racing on some of the other tracks. Oh, got the Aston Martin straight away, just about. This track also, high speed. It has got some bumpy sections too, and it is quite tight. It's a narrow track too, so very high speed, very narrow, and it's also got high curbs, which all kind of add to the difficulty of running this one. But we seem to be slicing through the field quite easily, and there we go, taking the Ferrari. I love the sound of this car. I think I've said that too much. But got the Audi TT, got the Lexus touring car, and here we go into the left-hander. Can't quite see who's ahead of us at this point in time, but I'm sure that it won't be too long before we are on the back of those next 2 cars. And it's the Porsche. Oh, but we run wide into the gravel pit. Fortunately, we don't lose any more positions. And this is the part of the track that I am a little bit more familiar with. The new sections, like I said, not something I've done before. So, whoa, as you can see, the track is really tight. Only space for 2 cars side by side, pretty much. And having to really play with the throttle and the brakes here, trying to get this section done. It's really tricky. The car does seem to be a lot more stable than the Honda Civic was that we raced previously on this track. Oh, slightly off the track there too. But with the car being a little bit more forgiving than that Honda was, we managed to keep the momentum going. as you can see there as well, we have got a power split of 40% to the front and 60% to the back. And we passed the Dodge Viper. Very quick section of the track here, 270 kilometers per hour and climbing. And whoa, it got airborne there. We couldn't have braked, or we should have braked maybe, but really very, very lucky to have been able to hold that and get those two places. But man, maybe way too ambitious and way too wild through that section, particularly with it being such a narrow track too. And the brakes there just about went off. It managed to save that by some sort of miracle. That's a very tricky section of the track. You can see the cars ahead, and we'll be catching up on those two quite quickly. And it looks like it's the Mitsubishi Evo. It's Mangano. He tries to get his position back. He does get it back. So he seems to run a little bit wide. We're on the inside there. You can see how tight the track is. Going wide there. We have got the position. Oh. Too hot there. Absolutely not braking early enough there for that turn. But we do hold the position. The Mitsubishi right on our tail for a second there, but we'll out accelerate it coming down to these bends. And we're off again. Just sliding it, getting maybe a little bit too over eager. Need to calm down a little bit in these twisties. It is really difficult to pass the other cars in that section, although we get three all at once as I say that. So man, working the car suspension and tires to their limit to try and keep it on the track. Honda NSX, really good car to drive that actually. And we through. I don't know if we bumped him off the track or not, but no, he is on. If we did bump him, he was able to just save it. Tap on the brakes. This is a very quick section. Going to touch the brakes here and there. Rather that than go off. But we are extremely competitive with the top end of the grid here. Slightly doing some paint swapping with the Alpha, but we get that position 2, position 3, and now we are chasing the Mazda again. I think it's the Mazda at least. Can't really see. I think it is. And as I said before, you can see the touring cars are a lot flatter and more planted through the turns than we are. And yes, it is the Mazda. Oh, he tagged our front end. He goes off. We are able to save it. And we take position number 2 on the back of the Supra. Oh, too hot into the bend. We do get the Supra eventually. There's some tricky sections coming up ahead now too. But this car just so nicely balanced. It just really gels nicely with my driving style. So that being quite a big positive for us. $230 kilometers per hour through that section. Oh, a bit of a drift, but we keep it on the track, which is ideally what we need to do. And here we go. A couple more turns and then we'll be on the main final straight. That big long straight down towards the finish. Here we go. 240, 250, 260, 270. How fast is this little car actually? We should be able to top it out of this straight. We seem to have plenty of power to do that. 303, 304. Where is it going to top out? This is actually quite amazing. That customizable or fully customizable gearbox alteration seems to have worked out. Oh no! Fortunately, we are quite far ahead, so even that crash, and we don't have anybody that is even close enough to sniff at taking that first position from us. Here we go, across the finish line. A little wiggle to celebrate the victory, and that's ours. 3 golds in the World Touring Car 700. That's what we aim to get. I was a little skeptical about whether we would be able to do that with a stock car that was souped up in the garage. But there we are, our 3rd gold. I'm quite proud of that actually. Not a bad one at all. I'm more proud of, more impressed with how the car ran with that gear ratio. And there we go. Number 1 overall with 150,000 credits to show for it. And that's it for today, guys. Drive safely, take care. We'll see you on the track.